Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Kershaw Endgame, another inexpensive option from Kershaw. I will be linking this guy right down in the description because it is absolutely available right now. Thanks so much to Alan for sending this in for review, and thanks so much for to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. There's a link for Patreon right down below, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this guy. Not a super large knife. Overall length is coming in at 7.5 inches overall. Blade length is coming in at 3 1/4, and the cutting edge is coming in just shy of 3 1/4. It's very similar in size to the Kershaw Highball XL, so I'm going to go ahead and put that knife up against this one. It's also at a similar price point. This guy's about $10 more expensive. We're going to talk about that. Let's do a few other size comparisons. How about up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2? Much closer in size to the Rat Model 2. How about two more? We don't need so many comparisons today. How about up against the Spyderco Para 3 and the Benchmade Bug Out? Very similar in size to the Benchmade Bug Out. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. Not a super thick knife, close, but not super duper thick. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. You can see here it's definitely shorter than the PM2. About the same length overall as the Para 3. In terms of height, though, even including the flipper tab, this guy's nowhere near as tall as either the PM2 or Para 3. It'll be a little heavier than you might expect because we have a lot of steel on here. This is a steel frame lock. Go ahead and weigh it. Materials include like some FDE PVD coated steel pieces, I guess, or aluminum. I'm honestly not sure. And then some GFN or base. It's another type of injection mold plastic. There's a lot of weird stuff going on there, but mostly what's happening here is it's 3.88 ounces because there's a lot of steel, but it's really not that heavy, even considering it's a steel frame lock. So no big deal. How about a hardware check? Let's get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very... Oh, drop my chapstick. Don't want to... I just threw it over the table. Okay, never mind. Chapstick's gone. We'll find it later. Get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the part of the description that says or talks about my tools. I'm going to guess that pivot is a T8 because that's generally what Kershaw likes to use. Yes. And then these other screws like the... This thing right here is the over treble stop, and it's also like a pivot decoration. There are lots of screws holding on these overlay pieces, and then the two more screws down here holding on the, I guess we're going to call it a filler tab, where the pocket clip can go. If you take that off, there is enough space to put that... Can we see underneath there? You can take this filler tab, I think, and flip it over, yeah, to this side, because it flips over there. So, okay, there's a lot of really unnecessary hardware on here, and they're holding on pieces of material that don't do anything. It's not a deal breaker, but just make sure you have the right tools. Those are all T6 heads. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 screws on this. Jeez. Okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness. Get out my calipers. There they are. I'm going to guess this is like 115 thousandths, something like that. Yeah, right on the money. 115 thousandths, so not a super thick blade stock thickness. I think that's pretty much it. I think we can go ahead and move on to the review. This isn't going to be a super long review. It's pretty straightforward. This is a manual operated flipping knife from Kershaw that is not made in the United States. That's, you know, Kershaw's less expensive stuff is made in China. That's what's going on here. In recent years, their steel of choice for these knives has been ACR 13 MOV. They've been tiptoeing into the D2 realm, and I think a lot more plentifully here recently. And this is, fortunately, a D2 steel blade. And I think it's got a good blade. In fact, that's probably the best part of this knife, is that we have a nice reverse tanto, I guess is what I'm going to call it. if you're the blade shape aficionados will be quick to point out that I'm in error down in the description. So, you can go find out what the actual blade shape is down there if you want to. There is a flat that carries out probably about 75% the length of the blade, carrying some meaningful material out to the tip. The tip is still pointy enough to do tip things, and the edge is definitely thin enough to do EDC, slicey sorts of tasks, right? So, yeah, you're good. The flipper tab is also good. It's a nice shape. It's not too obtrusive. It's not too pointy. There's no double clutch on this guy, so you can simply let it drop to the finger and then turn it, let it fall. It's close, though. Right here is where the detent ball is slipping up on the face of the blade. So, as long as you don't kick the blade back up, you'll be okay, right? So you need to turn and let it fall. You'll be all right. Ergonomically, it's all right. There's nothing spectacular going on here, and this is a pretty long clip with a pretty aggressive goose bill, so you're going to be feeling it a little bit in the hand. Pretty narrow frame too, so there's always the chance that while you're flipping it, you're accidentally going to put pressure on the lock bar. Not much, though, admittedly, because the pocket clip is here, and this little pivot decoration / over travel stop is in the way, so you'd have to put your finger right here. I still think that liner locks, countersunk liner locks are better than exposed frame locks, but this knife has a little bit of character versus everything else in the entire knife world. It's in the same price range and is made out of a combination of steel and G10 and is a liner lock. So, all right, I'll give it that. Nice tumbling on the blade. The frame is bead blasted. Yeah, that's about it as far as like the good, like it's ergonomic. It's reasonably ergonomic, nothing spectacular. The jimping's in the right place. The blade is good. The action's good. In fact, the action's actually really pretty impressive. Outside of that, though, this whole handle, what on earth is going on here? Kershaw does this, and it's not like they're going, oh gosh, should we do this or should we not? It's obviously working for them. People see this kind of stuff at Cabela's or Walmart or wherever, then they think, wow, cool, right? All of this is unnecessary. Now, if it had all of this stuff and there weren't the excess screws going into it, I'd be like, all right, no big deal. But if you want to completely disassemble this knife, there are so many pieces. They're not really hurting anything being screwed in, but right? If a couple of screws fall out, then you just lose a part of the knife. It's kind of annoying, right? It's also, I just don't understand, like, what's the deal? Is this supposed to look like space garbage? Is it supposed to look like a piece of shrapnel that came off of, like the Guardians of the Galaxy? Their ship's always getting blown apart, right? That's what it looks like. It looks like something that got blown off of the spaceship and then Ratchet, like, put it back together and reattached it. Some people are going to like this. This is an aesthetic complaint. It's not really my cup of tea. My biggest complaint with it, again, is that it requires all of these excess screws, which I like the less is more. I don't want that many parts on my knife. And if there are going to be that many parts, I want them to be adding something meaningful, right? At least aesthetically. And this isn't doing it for me. That's why I'm complaining about it. So there you go. I'm not going to sit there and dwell on it. It is what it is. We have an interesting backspacer that's kind of doing something unique, right? That's kind of cool. I have a feeling that this is plastic. That's what it feels like. But okay, it doesn't need to be anything spectacular. Pocket clip, it's a good pocket clip. It's just too long. I need it to be about right here, right? There is an over travel stop. Like I said, it's part of this weird pivot decoration. There is no lock stick. Disengagement is good. There is no pivot lash. The lockout is completely and totally solid, and I believe we're centered. Yeah, we are. So that's good. They're doing the main functional stuff right. There's the stop pin right there. No real shouldering, but that's okay. It doesn't need shouldering. So this is a D2 steel frame lock for $63. The Kershaw Highball XL is also the same exact size, same cutting edge, everything. Steel frame lock with D2 steel, and honestly, a little bit better of a blade for $10 less. Now, $10 is almost nothing, but so it leads me to the question here. I mean, I'm getting real nitpicky. What am I paying $10 extra for? For all this, you're paying $10 extra so that they could take a few extra parts and screw them down to the knife. Now, if you like this look, which some people will, then okay, and the truth is, it's just $10. So whatever, buy the one that you like. $10 is not going to make or break It's not going to be the decision. It's just like people are going to buy the one that they think looks cooler. I just don't like extra parts floating around my knife. It just looks weird to me, right? I think the better deal is the Highball XL, but this isn't bad, right? It's not a bad knife. I'm going to put this in cheap knives I like because that's what it is. It's a cheap knife that's good enough, right? It's made well, functions well, right? It's going to serve you well as long as these pieces don't fall off. But the better deal at this price point, if you're looking specifically at Kershaw knives, is the Highball XL. And if we're going to compare this to everything that's available, you can still make way better choices. This is good. It's good enough. There's nothing spectacular going on here. They didn't knock anything out of the park, and I honestly don't think that they set out to knock anything out of the park. They're just trying to do something different, right? They've got a lot of knives in their 2021 catalog that are sort of silver, like the inexpensive stuff that are like the silver or the steel color with black and this bronzy stuff, right? Is it like the Strata or the Stratus? Something like that. It's a similar setup. This is okay. You'll go on cheap knives I like playlist, but I'm not going to openly recommend this over anything. Like at the same price, no, there's like 10,000 knives that are just as good, if not better, for the same price. So no reason to go out of your way, but if you really like this, how this looks, yeah, sure. I think you'll be happy with it. That's really all I can say about it. Short and sweet today. Doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Alan, thanks again so much for sending in your knife for review. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.